So far, remember, we've only been interacting with the system in a text window. We don't have any graphical output as yet, or we have not interacted with the system in any sort of graphics as yet. And that's obviously uh, something you would want to do in instances. And that is possible through using a program called Xwindows. I have this legacy blast search command in here. Some of you may have used older versions of blast that had a slightly different structure, and they used a program called blast all. It's still possible to use sort of the old command lines with the newer versions of blast program. I just have an example here for your reference. So Xwindows program allows graphical user interface access for any Unix or modern Linux OS. And the thing to remember here is this program allows you to get sort of the same experience whether you're running the Xwindows from a Mac or from a PC or even from a different Linux system. UNC actually has a license for a program called Xwin32. You can download it from the shareware site. So this is a commercial program that is renewed each year. So you have to apply a license key. The instructions on installing that are available at the shareware site. With Macs, X11 will come with the operating system. If it's not installed on your Mac by default, it is generally available on the installed DVD for older versions of Mac X, like 10.6 and before. You'll have to use your system DVD to install it. With, I believe, Lion and Mountain Lion, it's already installed. And then Unix also, it's built into the OS. So to understand how Windows work, we're just going to briefly talk about computer ports. So software ports are logical data connections that are used for data exchange. Remember, with the secure shell program, we are connecting to a specific port, which is 22. There are thousands of ports, generally going from 1 through 65,000, that have specified uses. So there are some ports in here that are reserved for specific things, and there are some ports that are available for programs to use, of which we've already seen that port 22 is used for SSH. As you all know, port 80 is used for the HTTP connections, which are used generally for web traffic. 443 is again used for HTTP, but of the secure kind. So, for example, when you log into your bank's website, you're actually logging into a port, software port called 443. Similarly, and by the way, this is all part of the TCP/IP, which is the control protocol that the internet runs on. Xwindows uses port 6000. As you remember from before, we are connected to the server from our local desktops. So that's us connected to the server to port 22. Now what we want to do is we want to use port 6000 to get some graphical output back from the server. So we could connect directly by using port 6000. Again, this is all done through software magic. So we can use port 6000 to connect to the server and get graphical output. But the obvious problem here is the reason we are using port 22 is it's giving us a secure tunnel. So it's encrypting all the traffic that is going from our machine to the server. Now, if we suddenly start using a different port, we lose the advantage of having the secure tunnel between us and the server. So the trick we are going to use is to use something that's called tunneling. So even though the traffic for Windows is going to go through port 6000, we are going to trick the computer into switching the traffic so that it keeps going through the secure tunnel. So instead of making a direct connection to the server using port 6000, we are going to ask the computer to tunnel all of our traffic so that it still remains in the secure tunnel. And the way we do that is by setting a specific setting on our X Windows program, and I'll show you where that is. So if we can go back to our shell windows, you will want to go into Edit and then go into Settings. There's quite a few settings you can set for the different profiles that you set up. So this is something you might want to investigate at some point. I'm going to come down to this option called tunneling. And you will want to put a check mark against tunnel X11 connections. So by doing that, we are asking the computer to securely tunnel the traffic through a channel that we already have open with the server through the port 22, which is our SSH traffic. Once you put a checkbox against that, you'll want to click OK. And you will have to save the settings. So the setting save button is up here on the left hand side. So click Save. Now for these settings to take effect, you do have to log out of all shell windows that you may have opened. So if you've gone ahead and done the tunnel check mark here, we're going to log out of both shell windows that are open. Remember, this is where our jobs are going to either keep pending or they might run. We'll find out what happened to them in a minute. But just make sure you've logged out of all the shell windows that you may have opened. And then we're going to go back in and log in.